Oh, I love that smattering of applause. Who is this guy? Well, my name's Aaron Sagers. You may have seen me from the Sci-Fi Channel and Travel Channel, and I'm also a professional nerd, and a nerd like you guys, excited to be here, excited to be moderating the X-Files panel. You guys all excited to be here at 1 o'clock on Friday, Megacon. How many of you guys called out from work for this, or school, skipped out on your jobs? Good for you. Good for you. I endorse that. Well, okay, before we begin, so here's the deal. There's a microphone right there, and there. So you can line up now with your awesome X-Files questions, because this is really going to be your time, okay? Take to the microphone. Keep it to one question per person, okay? And if you are not directly at the microphone, maybe try to kneel down so you're not blocking the fans behind you, okay? All right, so before I bring these awesome actors out here, we do have a little bit of a video reel, so I'm going to go ahead and throw to that. Guys, welcome to Orlando, welcome to Megacon.
Thank you.
You have to say it like this.
Megacon! Megacon!
Really? It does make it more fun when you say it like that.
Megacon! Megacon! Megalicious. How y'all doing that? Megacon. Good?
Well, right away, this stage is a little bit more spacious than that car where you shot that scene. I guess you probably already talked about this, but I am curious because I've not talked to you about this. Talk about that scene when we do have you guys all together in the car. It's really the first time in the new seasons that we're seeing all of you together. So, what was that shooting day like? Was it pretty cramped? Were you guys excited to have that scene together?
It was smoky. That car, it was smoky. Did you have the herbal cigarettes for that? Or was that was the first day, wasn't it? Didn't one day they give you like real cigarettes?
Oh no, he's talking about the first day of this last sequence.
Oh,
talking about the day in the car.
Day in the car, right?
Day in the car where
told us that
I
you
said, do you mind if I smoke?
Right.
Right.
Put the gun on you.
And you
right.
Right.
And I had to spin around.
And you were at a very...
And there was a console right here, so every time, and Chris kept saying, you know, you gotta do it really fast, and it's gotta look really cool because Skinner's like, dangerous. So I kept spinning around, and at the end of the day, I kept bashing my leg on this console. At the end of the day, I had bruises all the way down on my leg, and I showed them to Chris, and I said, see what you did to me? See what I did for you? You didn't care.
I spent the majority of this last season in the car, in a vehicle.
Yeah.
Always with you.
I seem to spend the whole day walking to the car and getting in the car.
As an actor, is it somewhat limiting to really kind of emote and perform in a car? Because there's only so much that you can do, Annabelle.
Yes, I agree. It's a limited space, and we were in a parking garage, kind of down lower level, so it was, you know, sort of weird, dark. But we had fun.
It seems like it was hot.
It was hot.
Well, my recollection of the day was the first half of the day was really fun because we really played the scenes. You know, we shot the stuff. You know, it was great to have scenes with both of you and interaction and stuff. The afternoon was long, painful, because they wanted this coverage and that coverage. Come in this way. Get in the car with that foot. No good. No, sit this way. And we didn't really act. We
were positioning ourselves.
Exactly. And that's. I mean, we do that in order we could do the other. If you see what I mean.
It's a lot. And I remember our last scene when it was my demise. When Chris.
She's not dead. She's not dead.
Chris gets very, very particular about certain things, right? And I was supposed to pull to put the car into reverse or drive or whatever, but it was the wrong way. Well, we had to fake it, and it didn't make sense for us, right? Like I kept saying, Bill, what do I do? How do I make that look like I'm, you know?
And in truth, it should have been pushed back the way it came instead of down. That was never mind.
Right. These are the things, yeah.
I have to say though, in the scene with the three of us in that car. When Bill got in the car and he looks at us and he pulls a cigarette and he goes, "Do you mind if I smoke?" I thought that was just, the way he delivered that, I thought was absolutely brilliant. It was so iconic. It was brilliant.
Yeah. Well, it was like a very cool line delivery. However, okay, so it's been a few weeks since the finale, so I think we're outside of the spoiler realm. So what's up? Are you guys dead? I mean,
I don't feel dead. I don't feel dead.
You don't feel dead? Is Skinner dead? He seemed pretty dead.
Well, here's the deal. If the show comes back, it's not going to come back. But if it comes back, he's not dead. And if it doesn't come back, then it's up to your imagination as to whether he's dead or not. I know whether he's dead or not because Chris told me. So
yeah,
I'm not going to tell you.
Well, I mean, it seems like the show. It seems like, you know, amongst all the chatter, like it looks like it's not coming back. So, Annabeth, do you think your character is dead?
I think that Monica Reyes was transported to another realm through the bullet wound in her third eye. So yes, she's alive and well.
You know, if you look at that headshot, it's not a Krychek headshot. I mean, because that was like, it was almost like a glancing. When the way they shot it, it almost looked like it was glancing. So that's why I say I don't think she's. You know, if the show were to come back, I think that she'd be there, still causing trouble.
I've lost track of how many times I have died in this show.
That's reassuring.
I survived a rocket attack. I think that
cruise missile to the face.
But I was discouraged when after we shot the scene, Chris went into his big speech about how, oh, you know, no one ever really dies on the XFiles. You come back in dreams and flashbacks. I thought, oh, I think maybe I'm really dead. But then I said to Chris, I said, you know, I don't think that was me that died. That was a morph through the boy's power that I have control over. And his eyes lit up, like maybe that was not a bad idea.
All right, well, let's go ahead and promote to audience question. We have some folks standing in line over there. Hey, how are you? Welcome to Megacon.
I just want to say it is so awesome to have y'all here at Megacon. When I saw y'all come up on this schedule, I was psyched out of my mind.
Well, thank you.
And my question is for Miss Gish. What was your favorite part about being with Robert Patrick in the X-Files?
Well, I mean, he was my teammate and my buddy, and I adore him as a human being. And he kind of brought me warmly into the fold, which was, you know, it was new and hard to kind of join the show at you know, season 8. Mitch was really, really unkind I had to win him over.
They call me Mitch the bitch.
Really, but Robert, I think I have two favorite episodes, 4D and Audrey Polly, that were really sort of significant for our storylines and our relationship as Daggett and Reyes, and like a generous actor. He's one of, I just would work with him again in a heartbeat.
The y'all's season with the two of you were my favorites.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, sit down.
Thank you.
And I'll be getting your autograph later too.
Wonderful. Just mine, not his, right?
Oh yeah, yes ma'am.
Thank you.
Were you pretty happy with Monica's return arc for this season?
I was baffled by it. Mm-hmm. And tried, you know, as an actor, trying to make sense of your arc, you kind of have to just make up your own story and hope that it aligns with Chris's, which usually it doesn't. But no, I kept saying I needed still a bit more closure on why she turned. Mm-hmm. I personally believe that she was always aligned with Scully and was saving her son.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think she turned.
Yeah.
I'm confident that she turned.
Sometimes a girl's got to do what she's got to do.
Hi, how are you?
Good, thank you. My question is, what are your thoughts about Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg funding research to see if anything's really out there?
Bill, why don't you start with that one? Based on some of your work, what do you think?
Well, I think he makes a great car. And I have one. And I think he's probably going to go into space, but he's going to be very lonely. He's not going to find anybody out there. I'm pretty confident of that. Mm-hmm. That's a long discussion about are we alone in the universe, and I'm probably over astronomical time. There's probably been other life in the universe somewhere, but the possibilities of our meeting one another between the differences of time and space are very low in my view. Good luck to them if they find anybody. I hope they'll let us know. Mm-hmm. But we can look it up on the internet.
Well, going from the skeptic to the less of the skeptic, Mitch, why don't you follow up on that?
Cool.
That's it? All right.
I think it's cool. Go for it.
What's your take on it, Annabeth?
I'm very impressed. I don't think I would ever want to travel. I get anxiety on an airplane, so I don't want to travel to space, but I think that it's happening. It's pretty amazing.
If they found something, would you want to, if they were going to select an ambassador from Earth to do first contact, would you be up for it?
No. No!
I think an actor would actually be pretty good, because they can probably keep a straight face and, or no. No. Next question. Hey, how are you?
Hello. My question was, I was a big fan of the show growing up in the movies.
What happened? So you were a fan?
No, I still am.
Oh, okay.
In fact, my sister is the biggest crush on you. She would ditch her husband for you.
Where is she? Is she here?
She lives in Massachusetts. But anyway, so my question, I played the PC game quite a bit, and I just love the reactions when you can show like a weird item to different characters and they're like, I don't want that. But anyway, so I was just wondering if you guys ever played it and what it was like working on that game.
So have you played the XFiles video game or been connected to the related media?
I was confused when we were making it. So I can't even imagine playing it. I never have played it. And I've asked people who have played it how it is, and I hear it's pretty tough to get through. But I guess I probably should look at it at some point. Yeah.
Any favorite related X-Files merchandise or whatever that, you know, you actually kind of keep around that you're like, okay, this is kind of cool, I'll hold on to this one.
From the props from the show?
No, not even props, but just like merchandise, like things that have been marketed. And I don't know if they did a Skinner. They've probably done a Skinner action figure, I'm guessing.
They haven't done a Skinner anything. No, they haven't, really.
You guys got to make that happen. But any kind of like, you know, merchandise or swag that was sent to you that you actually held on to.
You don't have an action figure?
No, we've got, here's what that Pop, what is it called, Pop Flunko?
Yeah, Funko Pops.
Have you got a Pop?
No, they've got Serious Boogeyman, Mulder Scully, and an alien. So,
If I make one, I'll get one for sure.
yeah, okay, man, tell them that.
Well, you get the wife, I just get the Pop.
I've got a pinball machine. I've got the X-Files pinball machine, which is very cool. It's in storage, and yeah, I've got a storage unit that is just filled with X-Files memorabilia. And,
Yeah.
yeah, it's some pretty cool stuff there. I'm going to go there and look at it sometime, see what I got.
I don't have any memorabilia of me either as Reyes, but I did take a prop from set that was my apartment's like little bells on my door, and I thought it was so ironic because after 17 years, they broke. After I died, I came home from Canada and the bells had broken.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, I have a question for Mitch. So,
Yes, ma'am.
you remember a little show called Supernatural that you were on?
Sure.
So, is there any chance for a comeback?
You know, I think they tired of the Campbell family.
I don't know.
Yeah, no, I don't.
You gotta say Deeds.
You know, I would love to go back and work on the show because I had a great time. The guys are awesome. They're just you know, Misha, Jared, and Jensen are just three of the nicest guys. They got their heads screwed on right. They're great. I mean, if they asked me to come back, sure I would. If you know the storyline, I didn't understand the story of the Campbell family storyline, so I was confused the whole time I was doing that. But I was like, what? Okay, now why his daughter is what, and why I'm back because why? Anyway.
Thanks for being my first show to get me into sci-fi.
Awesome.
Hey, thanks for being in sci-fi. Well, you know that Supernatural's like entering into its like 27th season, so you never know who they'll bring back. Like that's a show that will not die for good reason. Hi.
Hi, agents. Welcome to Florida. What was your most memorable part of being on the X-Files? All of you guys.
Go ahead.
Most memorable. Funny. What show was that we were talking about?
He has absolutely no memorable moments in the X-Files.
All right. It's done. Who knows? It's a memory. I remember auditioning for the show, and I auditioned for the part of the senior FBI agent who appears in the pilot and has 3 lines. Nice little role when they're interviewing Scully for the first time. And I didn't get that part. I got this part with no lines. But, you know, I'm an actor, so I do what I'm told. And that's fine. But I remember kind of sitting, I don't know, somewhere in a casting office or something. And I'm not sure I'd even been cast, or maybe I'd come back for a callback, that's the word I'm looking for. And I remember one of the other actors who'd been cast, and went, oh, good luck, guy, good luck, yeah. And he was an experienced actor, and he was in the show, you know. And I remember thinking, oh, yeah, it'd be nice to be in the show. So I look back at that moment sometimes and think how life has changed.
I have a feeling where Mitch is going to go. So, Annabeth, what's sort of the memory that sort of defines the X-Files for you?
I mean, I met my husband basically because of Chris Carter. So and I have 2 children, that's probably my most memorable.
Pretty memorable,
Yeah, I'm gonna piggyback on that. I met my wife on the show, so.
I met mine through the show too.
Yeah, so that was a pretty big moment. Some of you have probably heard this story before, but I was shooting a scene with David and Jillian out of Britannia. Is it called Britannia? Out of Britannia, where the mines are, and we were shooting in this little restaurant, and as I was standing there talking to David, and I see this little redhead in a waitress outfit, and I just was like thunderbolt. I was just thunderstruck. I just was like, well, who is that? And he goes, that's Arlene. And I go, who is she? He said, she's Jillian's photo double, and Chris asked her to play a waitress in this scene, and I was smitten. I said, I'm going to marry her. And I married her 8 months later.
Months later? 8 months later.
A month would be a little creepy.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. Thanks guys for being in Orlando. Appreciate you guys coming down here. I know you guys have done some stage work. I know, I think Bill and Annabeth have just got done with the play. I wonder if you guys have any plans for any stage productions in the immediate future.
I have one question first. Are you really pregnant, or are you Scully pregnant?
I'm Scully pregnant.
Okay, cool. Awesome, I like it.
Are you really a redhead, or are you Scully redhead?
I'll never tell.
Bill, you answer that first.
Well, I just finished directing a production of The Cherry Orchard in Vancouver, and I know I do these things and I act in these plays, but deep down in my heart, I'm a theater director, and that's where I started, and that's what I've done most of, really, all my life. So our little group, we did a very successful production of a very challenging play, which just wrapped last week. And looking at what other things I'm going to do next, I have a cast that beautifully fits a production of Look Back in Anger, a play you've probably never heard of, but we old people know all about this play. So I will keep directing plays as I can. As for actually performing in plays, maybe, if they come along, but I'm not actively pursuing that.
Can I audition for your next play?
Absolutely.
Okay, good.
But make sure your agent knows what the remuneration is.
I would love to be directed by you.
What about some of the surreal ways that the X-Files has kind of invaded or popped up in other work that you've done? For instance, I know, and you probably can't talk much about it, but you're working on Netflix, Haunting on Hill House. Great story, by the way. I'm very much looking forward to that Netflix series. But, working on another show or project or production, stage production, and someone kind of stops everything to say, like, I love Cigarette Smoking Man, I love Skinner, or the reason you got this job was because I was a big X-Files fan, or sort of the ways that the X-Files has invaded your other work. Annabeth, you want to start?
Yes, I mean, it's pervasive everywhere. I think it's nice too that I'm meeting younger people who are kind of rediscovering it from, watching it, rewatching it, and I feel like the people who are called to watch X-Files, we're a special bunch, who are open-minded and believe that the truth is out there. That sounds corny, but I think people pop up all the time, either in like X-Files t-shirts or something, and I'm always amazed by the power of the X-Files tribe.
I've always, my experience has always been, as far as other shows, when I go into audition for another show, and as soon as the director or producer says, oh, we're big fans of your work on the X-Files, I know that I'm not going to get the job. It's only happened one time where I actually did get the job, and that was in Sons of Anarchy, and Kurt Sutter, as soon as I walked in the room, he goes, I'm a huge fan of Skinner. And I was like, dude, I might as well just walk back out of the room, you're not gonna cast me. And fortunately he did. But, I didn't get to work with you on Sun.
I know, but I wonder, he must have been a big X-Files fan.
He was a huge X-Files fan, yeah. So,
he also let us do things that were very different.
Yeah.
We were so great at that, so creepy.
He was a white supremacist, meth cooking pimp. Proud of that.
Yeah. And an entrepreneur. Like he was diversified in his
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he didn't just stay with one thing.
Yeah. How about you, Bill?
Well, I share Mitch's experience of quite often going into an audition and they say, "Oh, I'm a great fan of yours," and I don't get the part. Problem is, most other auditions I go in, I don't get the part either. So. But I did get one. I did get one part recently where he said he was a great fan of mine. I don't think it's been released yet. And wow, I had a line. One line. I deliver a judgment. And I guess for some reason they wanted me to do it. I don't know, paid me to do it, but it was very strange. Go in and shoot my line a few times. And they were very impressed. They thought I did it very well.
Hi, how are you?
Hello.
Hi.
My question is there ever a real-life mystery or legend you would have loved to have been made into an episode for the X-Files?
We didn't cover everything.
That's a good question.
It's a really good. Fortunately, I can't think of anything.
Well, my wife just made a short movie, which, to blow her horn, has just been accepted at the Cyprus Film Festival, called Daedalus. Maybe we could have turned that into an X-Files episode. Good idea.
What do you think? Is there anything that you can think of that?
Either the legend of the monster of Monterey Bay, or possibly the mystery of the Honey Island Swamp Monster.
Oh, that one, yeah.
Really up on these things.
I mean, this is Central Florida. What about like the Oviedo Lights, or is that still a thing? I remember that one. That might be deep cut. Did you have one? Annabeth? No. No. All right. Hi.
Hi there. Thank you for being here this weekend. My question is for each of you. What would your fantasy roles be, and in what kind of production would it be? Stage, screen,
I want to play.
backyard.
I want to play Big Daddy and Cat on a Hot Tin Roof.
Seriously?
Yeah, seriously. I want to play. That's a great role.
Yeah.
What about well, that kind of
Big Daddy. I'll direct it. We're on. I'll direct it.
Well, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, like that.
How's your delivery of mendacity? Mendacity. That's what he says, right? Big Dad, doesn't he always, isn't his repeated line, mendacity? Is that, yeah.
Do I get some credit for having sparked that?
Yes, you can get a percentage in the box office.
I could play Maggie.
Hey, Maggie, hell yeah.
Maybe but...
Okay, so what about a fantasy role that does not already exist? Like, what would you most like to play if you could? If somebody said, do something, do whatever you want, here's $80 million, make it work.
Like, writing their own thing, or how do you mean? So not a production that already exists?
No, a role.
A role.
Well, that's really...
Well, you did say fantasy. So my fantasy is still to play Romeo. I still think I've really got that part. I really understand that part. I'm a little old for it. But yeah, I think
that's fantasy.
Tell you what, you deliver the $80 million, and then they'll talk.
That's a good question, but it's a hard one. I mean, it's like for me to come up with anything creative, it takes me some time. So, good question.
Yeah.
What about you, Miss Gish?
I'm gonna go dark and say I'd like to play Medea. just because I think I've always wanted to explore that on stage. That would be a theatrical role that I would love to play. But I've also like fantasized about sort of Anna Karenina or something very like Russian and tragic and epic. Something with amazing costumes in a different period.
Can I jump in with a little anecdote about Medea? Because when I was, this was back when I don't even think I was at university then, but at the University of Toronto they were doing a production of Medea. And you may know that she slaughters her 2 young children off stage, and they scream in agony as she does this and in terror. And my brother, my younger brother, who fortunately has not gone on into a career as an actor, was playing one of these young boys off stage, and my mother could never quite figure out how this was going to work, because every time Medea went into a rage, he would say, "Oh, mother." Oh, mother.
Medea, in parentheses.
Oh, mother. That'd be the name of like the musical version of Medea. Oh. Hi.
Thank you. Hello. First off, all of you have done such amazing, amazing things, and I'm not even going to get into the effective role you played in Shocker. Very, very traumatizing.
Oh,
But
sorry.
I am digging one a little bit out of the vault. Continuum. I have a question for Mr. Davis about that amazing role, and I'm kind of curious, how different is it to play a role when you're basically interacting with yourself across timelines or something like that? With Alec, you did some direct work with the younger version of the character. So did you two have to work harder to get that, your personalities in sync than you would, say, in normal dialogue?
That's a really good question. And when we first started, we had a little meeting and we kind of talked about it and kind of got to know each other a little bit. For those of you who don't know, I played Alec Sr. They used to call me Old Alec, I called him Alec Sr. But the young Alec was really kind of the core of the story. It was happening in the future. No, in the past, in the present, and I was in the future. But we did eventually play a scene together. And it's quite curious because people said, you know, how we looked like each other, but if you took a picture of me at that time, we didn't, but we did now in a way. It was strange. But when we actually had to play a scene together, it was kind of awkward because he comes up to about here on me. So he had to be on a soapbox the whole time, and I had to kind of crouch and make it look as if we were talking to each other. But we didn't do a lot of exploration of particular tics or particular habits in that sense.
Well, the mannerisms did follow through, so it worked out anyway.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's great to do that.
So we only have time for a few more questions.
The one thing I loved about that show, I could speak Canadian.
So we're going to get through these last 3 questions, and then, I don't know, maybe you can speak Canadian for all of us. Let's take one over here. Hi.
Howdy, hosers. I'm kind of a late comer, so I just don't know if you guys already asked, anybody asked this question, but back in the day when you guys did the XFiles, did you guys ever do like any sort of like gags or something like that to sort of mess with the other actors or the crew or anything?
No, we never did anything like that.
Oh. Okay.
No, we did. There was a lot of, it got pretty bawdy sometimes, and it's like we did stuff that nowadays we would be in so much trouble.
Any kind of particular story that you...
Yeah, no.
Has the statute of limitations passed on it yet?
God, I hope so. But I mean, all of us. I mean, across the board, would get pretty. We get a little raunchy sometimes, but other than that, we do still. Oh God, never mind.
And sometimes we would be working so late, it would be a Fraturday, right?
You get punch drunk, and it's like
you just can't keep it straight face, like, you know. In fact, some fan made a video that's one of my favorite things because it's you and I'm just giggling my face off, and like I just can't get to the scene. And those moments, you know, Jillian is this little like sprite of, you know, she falls, she trips, she does, you know, when she
total spaz.
Yes, and it's hard to not break into fits of laughter when she does these things, you know.
When she starts laughing, it's all over. You might as well go to lunch because she just can't. She has a hard time getting back after she's gone into one of her fits.
Hi, Ben. How are you?
Hi, I'm from Australia. I've been a big fan of the show since I was a kid. I have fond memories of watching it and bonding with my dad, which is nice to look back on. But my question for you, and I know I'm going back, I guess, a few years, but what were your most challenging moments when you were filming the show?
Anything that stand out? Challenging moment? Anything that's
I had I had a lot of problems with I hate special effects makeup. I loathe it. And when Skinner was infected with the nanobots in his system, and I had all the veins and shit, it was just, and I had this little bladder that I would have to pump while I'm acting. So veins were like pumping and shit. It was miserable, and I finally said, I think I said to Frank Spot, after about 4 episodes of having to deal with it, I said, can we like get past this storyline? Can he get cured or kill somebody to get rid of him, or, you know, because it was miserable. So that was, to me, that was very, very, very challenging.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I mean, on a similar line, I mean, that whole business of having to smoke through a tracheotomy and find a way to...
It's going to be kind of challenging, right?
Yeah, exactly. And find a way to speak when you don't have a voice box.
Really, when you should be dead as well.
Well, that too.
It's a slight hiccup, yeah.
But one of the most remarkable things I think about CSM's ability to recover, which few have mentioned, was the fact that his tracheotomy cured. And it got better. And later, I didn't have to smoke through this. In the recent season, I smoked normal. And there was a science that is an adventure of science that's not been properly credited, I don't think.
I mean, and coming back from the dead. That
we know. We have talked about that. But yeah.
Any challenging moments?
That was one of the creepiest, fetishist things I had to do on the show, was to give you your...
Hide my secret.
That was just creepy. And one, I can't remember what episode it was, but I had to be in a big dark hole, and it was filled with cold water, and you know, you have like stuff like that when it's just like not fun anymore.
Also for me, it was getting into the bathtub after David and Jillian had already been in the water for Hollywood AD.
Did they change the water?
No, David was directing that, and he didn't change. He says that he changed the water, and I call bullshit on that.
There you go.
Thank you.
Just, I mean, when you look back as actors, you know, from the original run where you've got like 26 episode seasons, are you relieved that not just X-Files, but just overall, TV landscape is you've got your 10 episode season, 8 episodes, maybe 12.
I miss those paychecks.
Yeah, they were pretty good.
26 episodes of, you know, and I only did the show for 2 years, and so those days are gone though, really.
They really are. I mean, there's still shows on network that do that many episodes, yeah, but the landscape in Hollywood has changed so much. It's to me, it's a very different animal. So I don't get it anymore.
Yeah. Hi, how are you?
Hi there, fine. Thank you so much for coming. I'm so excited to talk to you. I just wanted to ask if you could just touch briefly on what it was like working on Dallas and Pretty Little Liars. I really loved it.
Dallas was awesome. I had a great time. The character was a cad. He was fun, and I got to I got to watch Larry Hagman and take lessons from him. And I had worked with Larry on the original series towards in the last season with a different character, but I got to spend about 4 episodes with him watching him work, and I was able to. I talked to him when I first came on to the New Dallas, and I went up to him, and he was quite old at that point, and I said, Mr. Hagman, I'm Mitch Pileggi, and I'm going to be working with you on the show, and I'm very excited about it. And he goes, now, which character do you play? And I said, I'm playing Harris Ryland, and he goes, his eyes just lit up, and he goes, oh, that's a good one. Bad guys are the best, aren't they? And I said, yes, sir, they are. And so I got to watch him, and I learned a lot about, I didn't try to steal from him, but I tried to give it the same flavor that he brought to that wonderful character JR that he played, And so it was, for me, it was I had a great time. Yeah.
Very cool. Thank you so much.
Oh, Pretty Little Liars, the fashion was insane. I mean, it was just never been more glamorous and a fun show. All of the girls were great. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks. Well, okay, hey, Orlando, we are out of time, but that does not mean the fun stops. These guys will be here this weekend, so you should go check them out at their autograph table, get some photo ops and all that good stuff. Orlando, you are awesome. Megacon, we will see you all weekend. Please give it up for these guys. Give it up for Mel and Imagine Mitch.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.